Richards joins Peter Credlin for what is the most popular segment on her show. He's with us again. Nice to see you, my old friend. Now, I've often been accused of blowing my own trumpet. John writes, on Sky News, a presenter used the phrase blowing my own trumpet in regard to predicting a landslide win to Donald Trump in the election. Where did this lovely saying, blowing my own trumpet, come from, Kel?
It seems, Steve, to be a really old English proverb. There's a form of it recorded from about 1450, so it's a long time ago. And back in the medieval period, when a king entered the chamber, there were heralds with those big long brass trumpets, and they would blow their trumpets to herald the arrival of the king. So the idea behind the proverb when it was coined was, you're like heralding, if you boast, and you would never do it, Steve, but if you boast, then you're heralding your own achievements, you see, by blowing regal trumpets. That's the idea behind it. It goes back to that medieval image.
We've been talking tonight about a bloke who's very good at blowing his own trumpet.
Yes.
He's our ambassador in America.
He never does anything else. Although, mind you, someone pointed out to me once, Louis Armstrong was always blowing his own trumpet, and probably a good thing too.
Yes, it was nice to hear. Now, there's been some inclement weather at my place today. I had two very heavy downpours of rain. Virginia wants to know, Kel, if bad weather is known as inclement, can good weather be described as clement?
It can. In fact, the word clement came into English even before inclement. Clement meaning nice, mild weather, was around in the 1600s, and inclement, the opposite what you had today, only after the 1700s. Clement comes from a Latin source word meaning gentle, and often used in Latin to mean to treat gently. Our word clemency comes from the same source.
So let's talk about private schools. I always got confused by this because, as you know, I worked in radio in both Victoria and in New South Wales. And private schools and public schools were very different things in two different states. Susan in Geelong wants to know why private schools in England are called public schools as they are in New South Wales.
Well, fee-paying schools in England, the older ones, are called public schools. They were established in the 1700s, and the reason was to be a contrast between, say, the wealthy sons of landowners privately being tutored in their own grand homes or being tutored in a school, i.e. publicly with other boys of their own sort of class. So that was the distinction between private tutoring in home and public teaching in school. That's why they were called public schools. But they were never publicly funded, no taxation money. They were always fee-paying. Now, what happened was, the same thing happens in Wales, but in Scotland, they did what we do. The public schools were state schools, private schools were the fee-paying schools, and in the colonies here, our education system modelled Scotland. That's why we have the language we have.
You always have the answers. It's great to catch up with you again, my friend.